The Houston Texans will head to Seattle for Monday Night Football. Ahead of that matchup, C.J. Stroud let us know where he stood on this Houston Texans offense. And what about that offense the Texans defense is going to try to stop on Monday Night Football? We'll talk about that, plus your comments, your questions, your joys, and your concerns. Happy Friday to you. Hope you had a fantastic week. The caffeine du jour, a little instant iced coffee this morning. Hope you got your caffeine. You are getting the weekend started here with the Friday. Don't forget to join myself, Landry Locker, SNL, at Spanky's Pizza this afternoon. The Bel Air location of Spanky's Pizzas. Come out and hang out with us. We'll be live at 4 o'clock. We'll be there at 3, hanging out with you, talking football, and getting you ready for Monday Night Football. Let's talk about the Houston Texans offense, and specifically what the quarterback had to say about the Houston Texans offense. Because the first 3 weeks of this offense, it stunk. The first 3 quarters against the Tennessee Titans, there wasn't a lot to write home about. It looked like they were starting to get things going there in the third quarter. And then the last 5 quarters of football that the Texans offense has played is about the best 5 quarters of football an offense has consecutively played this season, it feels like. They got going against the Tennessee Titans, 3 touchdowns late in that game, and then they just dominated the depleted Baltimore Ravens. And what got them going was Woody Marks against Tennessee, and then against Baltimore was a lot of stuff that you hadn't seen as much of in the first 3 weeks. It was a lot of stuff that looked a little bit better, looked a little bit different. There were motions. There were the spreading out of the football to a bunch of different pass catchers. The offensive line held up as well. There's a lot to like about that offense against Baltimore. And then everybody wants to and needs to put the caveat about who the opponent was and how well they were or weren't playing when you played them. But the Texans had Texans problems on offense after 3 weeks, and they looked like in week 4 and week 5, they went about adjusting and changing and really removing things from the offense that didn't work and putting things in that did work. Adjustment, evolution, changes. It all felt necessary after that really bad offensive start, and they looked like they figured out some things and are headed in the right direction. And that's kind of what C.J. Stroud said when he hit the podium yesterday. The offense, they like where they're headed. Then there's still a few things to adjust and change and fine tune.
I think, we're starting to find our identity, being versatile. A lot of guys touch the ball against Baltimore. I think that's a good thing. So some things we can keep up and keep up our tempo and getting out the huddle, just operational things is good. So keeping all that stuff up.
Now, versatility and getting the ball to a lot of different players, not having to rely on one player, that was kind of a hallmark when you think about the skill position players of those Patriots offenses. You didn't have to rely on one skill position player because a lot of guys did things. Now, I know at times they leaned heavily on Gronk because he was so good. Randy Moss was, of course, there for a minute, and ultimately they leaned heavily on the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. But as far as the skill position players go, a lot of times the Patriots would have a different guy successful each and every week. And the Texans had a bunch of different guys going in the Baltimore game. Is their identity being multiple, that anybody at any time can hurt you? I don't know if that's currently the identity, but coming out of Baltimore, when you think about how well Nico Collins looked in that game, getting the ball to Xavier Hutchinson, getting the ball to Jalen Noel, getting the ball to Jaden Higgins, getting the ball to Dalton Schultz. They didn't even really use Woody Marks as much as they used him in the Titans game. So that's another element that they could add in. They have a lot of different things about this offense that they liked coming out of Baltimore. Now, can they carry those things over against Seattle? And is that the identity of this team? Well, if you put it all in the QB, let him go make the decisions and just trust the guys to do their job, that very much fits into the ideal way to run offense. Hey, we got a good quarterback. We're going to distribute the ball to the guys that are out there at wide receiver, whoever we put out there, and maybe with a little extra lean on the players that are a little bit better, like, say, Nico Collins. But still figuring out exactly what the true blue identity is. If you listen to D'Amico Ryans, they need to continue to run the football well, and maybe he'd love for them to be a run-first team. They don't exactly have the personnel to be that run-heavy, fix everything off of the run game type of offense, so you need to rely on C.J. Stroud. You need to rely on this passing game more from C.J. Stroud, because part of the issue in those first couple of weeks was maybe his understanding of what the offense needed, his understanding of his role and ability at the line of scrimmage, and it looked much better in the previous two games that they played. C.J. Stroud, you getting deeper into this thing, this offense?
Yeah, I think every week I get better. I think as an offense, we understand what fits for us and what doesn't work that we've tried, So it's all about just adjusting week to week, upgrading our iPhone, upgrading our ideas. So I'm all for that, and I think it's just been good because we're able to get some games on our belt where we play good, and I just want to keep that going. So yeah, it's every week getting better.
You're starting to see that melding of what Nick Caley talked about when he got introduced, and you're starting to hear it certainly from the quarterback. Hey, what we do well and what we don't do well. Do more what we do well. Game planning each week, getting ready for the opponent, fine-tuning those. It's sort of a melding of, I didn't like this. I do like this. Let's do more of this, and let's figure out how we can go down this path. Like, they clearly had to adjust, change, alter things with the offense after those first 3 weeks. It didn't look good. It wasn't going well. And I know D'Amico Ryans can lean on the fact that the players weren't executing and they felt like they had the right play. Maybe this guy or that guy didn't get things that the way that they approached offense the first 3 weeks wasn't good enough. They changed it. It got better. Okay. And you heard C.J. Stroud, a little bit less what we didn't do well, a little bit more what we do well. Okay. Well, a little bit more from C.J. Stroud in that vein. Sam Warren of the Houston Chronicle asked him, hey, what did you learn in your self-scout? And initially, C.J. didn't give much, but then C.J. gave a lot.
I think I'll just keep that kind of to myself on what we think. But there were some things where I think we can build upon, and there are some things that I think we shouldn't do anymore. We should just move on, try some other things. But I thought, what we did coming to practice last Wednesday was really helpful to, work on some of the things that we need to work on from just a big picture standpoint as an offense instead of just against Seattle or against San Fran or whoever we're going to play. It was good for us as a whole to just fit what we need. So that's how it was good for us.
They're still fine-tuning things. They're still moving the furniture around, so to speak. But, hey, when that piece of furniture doesn't fit, get it out of here. Put it on the curb, throw it on Facebook Marketplace, let somebody come get it. When that piece of the playbook's not working, rip it out. Get rid of it. Throw it into the trash can and do the stuff that does work. And I did like the element that he talked about where they had that practice last week before everybody goes on by, and how important it was for them to have moments where it wasn't based around the game plan that you had for that opponent, but moments that they could get deeper into the stuff that they did well and understand what they're not doing well as an offense. And look, they have had some really unfortunate but also interesting changes to the way that they can operate. For instance, you could operate a little bit differently when you have Cade Stover on the field. You don't have Cade Stover these past few weeks. So what stuff would you maybe do with two tight ends when you trust Schultz, you trust Stover, and now you don't have Stover, you just have Schultz? Do you throw some of that stuff out? Yeah, I'm sure you probably do. Harrison Bryant is not anywhere near as effective, it feels like, as Cade Stover right now. So you need to adjust that. Hey, Woody Marks shows a little bit more. Put more Woody Marks in. Let's stay away from the Daria Dumouales, the Damian Pierce, or a heavy Nick Chubb workload. But it's become very apparent that the team and some of the players didn't love the direction they were headed. And maybe initially the coaching staff on offense didn't quite see what the players preferred. And there wasn't that melding. Before the Baltimore game, C.J. Stroud talked about, hey, understanding what we do well and doing more of it. He's now reinforced that again. And the fact that Nick Caley's listened, but still worked in stuff that Nick Caley feels good about, kind of gives me a little bit of hope for the direction of this offense. Gives me a little bit of hope that they're not set in their ways. There's not adjustment, or there's not a lack of adjustment. There's not a little New England Patriots offensive box that they're stuck in. It's like, hey, okay, if this isn't working, what will work? Oh, well, actually, this will work. Good managers listen to their employees, and they're the ones that are out there. Look, C.J. Stroud's the guy out there that's got to catch the football from Jake Andrews and make the play. Those wide receivers are the ones that got to go run the routes. It might look one way when Nick Caley's looking at the film or watching it from the sideline, but they've got to go do it. And if it doesn't feel good for them, then get rid of it. And that's what C.J. Stroud has basically mentioned, and that's seemingly what they have done on this offense, and that is a good thing for not only where they are now and where they're trying to go as an offense, but the potential that they can not only figure this out to a consistent level, but then raise the level. Because really, the goal from firing Bobby Slowick to getting the new offensive coordinator was you've got to be much better than the guy last year. And once you create that solid base, you got to build on it and go where he couldn't go. Well, the consistency is about being better than Bobby, because they were very inconsistent on offense last year. If they put consistency together as an offense and they get a nice solid base here, and I know we don't like talking about solid bases of offenses in week 7 of the NFL, but Stroud's talked about it. It's taken time to pick this thing up. Even with the training camp and the offseason workouts and everything like that, they've gotten into games. Some of it has worked. Some of it hasn't worked. They've had to adjust and fine tune, and they've had to get rid of some furniture, and they've had to adjust and move some other furniture around when it comes to the offensive scheme, and they've been willing to do that. They're not set in their ways like it felt like perhaps Bobby Slowick was, or like we were worried Nick Caley would be in those first 3 games of the season. So like that from CJ, and I like that he's willing to go up there, and he's not, tattletaling on Nick Caley to any extent, but he is saying and explaining, hey, this is how we've gotten going. We've adjusted and we've started to do things that we, the players and other people in the offense, like more than what wasn't working. Hey, when stuff doesn't work, change it, do something else. Okay. You know, it does work, my friends, over at Sleeper. It works for daily fantasy. It works as a scores app, and it works for you right now. If you sign up with my code Stoots, STOOTS, you're going to get a deposit match up to $100, and you're going to get a free $20 entry. No deposit required. So try it out. Free $20 entry in Sleeper when you use my code Stoots, STOOTS. Terms and conditions do apply. Check out Sleeper's terms and conditions. But deposit match up to $100 and the free $20 entry, no deposit needed. You get both of them. Use the code Stoots, STOOTS. Let's put a Sleeper entry together. I mean, you're looking at this. Hey, it's tough not to use that discounted Bo Nix more than half a passing yard. Sleeper's just putting predictions together, and if you win all your predictions, you multiply your money. Let's go to the touchdown scores. Nico Collins getting in the end zone on this one. And look, Jackson Smith-Njigba is red hot right now. I don't know if the Texans are keeping him out of the end zone, even if Derek Stingley is following along. $5 turns into over $30 if we get all 3 of these pieces of our entry correct. How much fun is that? You can do it with college football. You can do it with baseball as it wraps up here in the World Series. You can do it with basketball as it's getting going. Sleeper has so much fun stuff, and it's a great scores app as well. There's our entry right there. We need Nico Collins and Jackson Smith-Njigba to get in the end zone, and Bo Nix to just get more than half a passing yard, and we'll be well on our way to 30-plus smackaroos. That's how fun and easy Sleeper is to use, and use that code Stoots, STOOTS. Get that free $20 entry, no deposit required, and get the deposit match up to $100. So appreciate Sleeper for sponsoring the channel. Let's talk to you. Let's get to the comments, the questions, the joys, and the concerns. We appreciate JB Allen, the Annihilator, with the gifted memberships to the channel. Members get early access to videos from time to time. They get access to exclusive emojis in the chat, and will be some member-only content coming your way. Appreciate you, JB. Gibby is here. Dime is here. Cole, good to see you. Patrick, good to see you. Talk a little bit about Thursday night football. Tazewell, appreciate you. BG, Chewy. Case's Place. Sup, y'all? Monday at 9 is crazy. Don't love the late start, but it'll be fine. Once the game gets here, you'll be excited. Good to see you, Carlos. Jorge, appreciate you jumping in. Pawn Shop's here. Big Balls, good to see you. Jake Eubanks, Sup, Cody? Tell Alpha Aaron to step up his energy on his videos. He'd be looking sad like his dog died or something. LOL. I'll pass that along, Jake. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll let Aaron know. Chewy, if D'Amico not calling defense and is in fact assisting Kaylee, what does that mean? Is D'Amico calling offensive plays? Is he advising Kaylee on the current situation, like run, pass? Yeah, it's interesting because D'Amico Ryans won't tell us what he's doing with his extra time now that he's not calling the defense. And so with not telling us, it just leaves us to speculate. My speculation is he's just an advisor in the back of the room just saying, hey, you guys know how to do this. You guys know how to operate offense. CJ, you know what's up. You know how to be successful. Nick Kaylee, you know what good offense looks like. Hey, maybe a little bit more Woody Marks. Figure out a way to get some of these other wide receivers involved. That didn't work the first 3 weeks. Throw that out. It's kind of like a little bit of just like an extra set of eyes, an extra voice in the room. I don't know that he's not calling plays. He's not getting on the headset and letting CJ know what needs to happen. Maybe just a little, hey, maybe we run it here. Or maybe we open it up. Maybe, hey, let's put the pedal to the metal. Let's open it up. Let's get a little offense. Let's get a little speed going. Let's get the tempo up. Let's get it moving. Like, he's not sitting there taking over the play sheet and getting in CJ's ear. That's not quite what he's doing. You making the trip to Seattle? I am not. I was thinking about it. I was trying to make it happen, but I'm ultimately not going to make the trip to Seattle. But anybody that is, I know Patrick is. It'll be fun for the folks. And make sure you link up with your fellow chat members who are going to be in Seattle. JB Allen, car problems has to be frugal this pay period or the rest of the year. Can only give 2 ships. JB Allen, the Annihilator, anything that you do is appreciated. You're already a member of the channel and gifting memberships. That is very much appreciated. Certainly, thank you. And sorry that car trouble popped up. Hopefully the car is running nice and smooth now, though. But you're very kind. You don't have to apologize for that. You can certainly gift whatever you'd like, and I certainly appreciate that you're a member to the channel. Hey, and look, Big Ball's got the gifted membership. Dark Tooth Sounds and Swag. Looking good, Cody. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that. What is the Stover status? Yeah, Cade Stover's still on injured reserve. He's dealing with a broken foot, and he's going to be a while back. And Nick Casario said in the bye week it's a little bit further out. I know in the bye week, looking at Stover's social media, he's out on the farm. He was moving around pretty good. And looks like he's moving around in the locker room pretty good. So, who knows? The foot thing is tough because you might feel good one day, not feel good the next day, and then obviously the chance of re-injuring it is pretty high. So, Dark Tooth, hey, maybe British Brooks at tight end sometimes. Certainly in there as an additional blocker from time to time at that fullback position. And now that they've shown you they're not afraid to hand the football to British Brooks, maybe you hand the football to British Brooks a couple times. Oh, homeschool. Harrison Bryant has looked pretty good as a receiver so far. He didn't have the one kind of trip and fall down and moment from a few weeks ago, but he's had a nice moment here or there. Still don't love the blocking from Harrison Bryant too much. Jay Malfair. Looks like Witherspoon, Love, and Woolen are all practicing this week. Yeah, the Seahawks got good news from the practice report this week. They got good news for the practice report. And Donnie wants to see the O-line take care of their business. Yeah, tough defensive line. We'll hear from CJ Stroud about the defense of the Seahawks and the offensive line here in just a moment. If Kaylee's willing to listen to players and adapt his offensive plan is already 10 times better than Bobby. Yeah, look, seeing that change and adjust in real time and having it work obviously has to feel good for Kaylee. Feels great for the players. And then for all of us that watch it, yeah, it obviously is better to have a better offense than to, be stuck in your ways. Will Joe, I'm guessing you mean Joe Mixon, Isaiah. Will Joe Mixon play this week or even this season? Also been hearing a lot of trade rumors on the running back market from the Texans. Yeah, a lot of teams have connected the Texans to running backs in the trade market. So that's something to pay attention to and think about as you look around the league for a trade for the Houston Texans is think about running back. I would say this about Joe Mixon. You can't count on Joe Mixon. You can't count on a guy that has missed the entirety of the offseason program, has now missed 6 weeks of the football season. You can't count on that guy to get healthy, get in football shape, get up to speed, and help you in this season. You can't count on it. If it happens, great bonus for the Texans, but you can't count on Joe Mixon right now. You just can't count on All right. You can count on TDECU. My friends at TDECU want you to get 15% off of your online team shop order when you have the Texans debit card from TDECU. TDECU, your credit union. It's not just a slogan, they mean it. Okay, membership is required. They're insured by the NCUA. But when you're a member at TDECU, you get tons of perks, including that 15% off on the online team store, and use that Texans debit card. You can learn a lot more and find out a lot more perks at tdecu.org/Texans. You can even start the process of opening your TDECU account right there online, or you can walk into one of the 15 greater Houston area locations to get signed up at TDECU, but they will take care of you. And the perks, man, they keep on coming. You put your money at TDECU and you know it's going to benefit you. So appreciate TDECU for being a sponsor this season. Couple of comments from CJ Stroud about the Seattle defense and ultimately this offensive line. And then I got a comment or two about this O-line and what they bring to the table. CJ, what do you think about the Seattle Seahawks defense?
Yeah, their D-line is really good. They play together. They play stout. A lot of playmakers up front. Ernest is a great backer. He gets those guys lined up and in the right calls. And Spoon is a heck of a player along, with their back end. So, all around from top to bottom, they're a really good team. And they play together. Mike is a great coach, head coach, of course, but a great play caller as well, great defensive coordinator. Played against him a couple times, and, he's done some challenging things. So you just got to be prepared and prepare us the right way.
It's not an easy defense to go against. It's one of the best defensive lines they're going to play all season long, and this secondary is getting healthy this week for the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be able to put Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen and some other guys that have been banged up here out there on the field, it seems. So it's not going to be easy. This is a tough defense. They stop the run really well. They get after the quarterback really well. They're number one in quarterback pressures on the season heading into this week. They are number 3 in quarterback pressure percentage and number 3 in sacks this year. So they do a good job with the defensive line, and they don't send a lot of extra pressure to do it, which muddies things up for CJ Stroud. If you're only sending 4 and you're getting heat, then it makes it a lot tougher for the quarterback to go out there and make things happen when he's got to deal with 7 guys in coverage. But if your O-line's taking care of your business, well, then maybe you can rely on them. And if you can rely on this offensive line a little bit in this game, you might be able to move the football and have a semblance and the necessary offense to get things done. CJ, what have you made of your O-line recently?
Without them, it's no me. Without them, it's no Nico, it's no Woody, it's no Chubb, it's none of us. They're the heart, beating soul of our team, and I'm just proud of them for keep fighting, week to week, because they've done a lot of great things, and as a team, we got to help them out, like I told y'all before, and I think we've been doing that by being more versatile in different ways, helping our guys out. So, they're doing great. I told you Titus is playing, I think, like at all-pro level. I think Jake is being a really good leader up there. Ed looks great. Juice, Tays really filled into his role. So, with those guys, I think, the sky's the limit when they're on and we're rolling.
All right, so you're talking a little bit about how the O-line's got to get rolling and the sky's the limit when they are. They haven't always been rolling for the Texans. In fact, since this franchise started, O-line's been a huge question, a huge issue. But bad start. They got better and better and better and better and better each week here, and they've sort of leveled off here. Solid performance against Tennessee, solid performance against the Baltimore Ravens. Step up in weight class, probably step up in 2 weight classes against this crew. Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Boya Mafe, and all the various players that they, in Wasu, I think is how you say his name, all the various players they send out there, and the ability to disguise where and who they are sending and then ultimately make it tougher. Look, they are one of the best stunt teams in all of football. You've heard Landry talk about it this week. We've asked a couple of different coaches and players about it. And the stunts where, hey, they send the end inside, the defensive tackle darts, out towards where the end was going to be. And it just creates a little extra measure that the offensive line has to deal with. And I went and texted Seth Payne about this, and I asked him, and of course, Seth does radio on the on Sports Radio 610 in the mornings with Sean Pendergast, and Seth played defensive tackle in the NFL. And I was like, tell me about stunts, because some offensive linemen talk about it like it's the nuclear codes, and that's the secret to dominating an offensive lineman. And then some guys act like it's really no big deal. So tell me about stunts. And he said, look, sometimes when it works, it is sort of the secret. You get guys confused. Guys are blocking the wrong guy. And next thing you know, the quarterback's laying on his back. He's like, the defensive linemen don't like to do stunts as much because they take a little bit longer to develop. And when they don't work, you feel like you're kind of stuck. So if you pick up the stunts, if you're ready for them, and Titus Howard said this week they're ready for them, and they practice against the stunts all the time, and they've done better as the year's gone on against stunts. But if they're ready for it, and maybe they can take advantage of some of those plays where the O-line does hold up. But the one thing that I thought Seth really hammered home when I talked to him about it was, he said, look, cohesive and smart offensive lines typically handle it better, and experience helps, having seen it a bunch. Well, the Texans have seen it a little bit this season, but I think about experience, and you think about Ariante Ursery as a rookie at left tackle. You think about playing in his 6th NFL game, Jake Andrews at center, and then Juice Scruggs, who has played a little bit of guard in his career, but obviously previously was a center. That left side, from an experience standpoint, not super experienced, and the cohesion, they haven't run this line out there except for a full game and a little bit with the Scruggs Tomlinson rotation. So going to need to be on their P's and Q's, slow down that pass rush, and be out there and let CJ Stroud go trust some of the individual winners. Christian Kirk getting open, Nico Collins getting open. I know that they're healthy in the secondary, but they still don't have anybody that's shutting down Nico Collins. And hey, you're going to have to run the football effectively. Not a lot. Don't just run it to run it, but you're going to have to run the football effectively to kind of back some of those pass rushers off that the Seahawks are sending you. It's not going to be easy, but hey, you've seen how teams try to attack you. You've adjusted your offense and got rid of things that aren't working, put in more things that are working. And if you have to adjust in game, hopefully you've got that ability as the offense to adjust in game and make sure that the Texans aren't just totally sunk in the water in Seattle because they can't get anything going against this rough and tumble Seahawks defensive line. So that's the offense that the Texans have and what they need to do against that defense. We'll talk about the offense of the Seattle Seahawks here in a minute, but a couple more comments, questions, joys, and concerns. Kyle, he's a member of the channel. I want Vega Ione out of Penn State. This is an offensive lineman, correct, Kyle? Man, Penn State, rough little stretch here for the Nittany Lions, but they have produced some really impressive offensive linemen. I think that's who that is, or is he a defensive lineman? Am I confusing him with somebody else, Kyle? Help me out with a little bit of. Yeah, he's an offensive lineman. Big fella. Woo! Big fella. Is he on the big board here? Let me look at this big board I got over here. So looking at the wrong section. So they got a Shelton at Penn State. Is he not on my big board over here? There he is, interior offensive lineman. Okay. Rated as the second best interior offensive lineman at this big board that I'm looking at, behind Connor Liu from Auburn. Although Liu is a center, so he kind of gets in his own category. Yeah. I think I'm saying his name right. Ione. Yeah, sure. I mean, sign me up for a big, nasty offensive lineman at some point, especially if it's not a first rounder. If you get to wait on it a little bit, especially sign me up for that. All right, couple of questions here. Your comments, your joys, your concerns. JB Allen, this is the game the Texans need to win so we can solidify ourselves as legit AFC contenders. Yeah, this team's better than a lot of AFC teams that are competing for a spot in the AFC pecking order. So if you could beat them, you should be able to beat some of these AFC teams that are on your schedule. So, yeah, it'd be nice to it's a prove it game. I've said that a couple times this week. You got to continue to prove it. Big balls, a big win would be a positive point for the offense's confidence. Absolutely. Good to see you, MK. He says, I have a terrible feeling about Monday. It feels like a nightmare matchup in a lot of ways. Come on, MK. What are we doing here? Tazewell says, is Crypto Harris on IR? He wasn't as of yesterday, unless something happened this morning, but Jose says, Cody the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. Maybe one day I will be, but I'm not the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. Maybe one day, though. Evan Fry, bacon and eggs. What's your third GOAT breakfast item? Biscuits and gravy. Or biscuit, I like a biscuit more than I like toast. Yeah, so bacon, eggs, and a biscuit. If I can get biscuits and gravy in there, I put biscuits and gravy in there. And there we go, Mellow Mike. Country gravy, some flaky biscuits. Doyle's headed to Seattle. He's going to hang out with the folks in Seattle, watch that game live. He's packed and ready to go. Dime, Texans, Woodies, and Chubbs depend on the O-line. Yes, certainly. Certainly. Mellow Mike says, this game seems to be a Woody type of game. Need to hit the outside zones. Looseness creates some runs because they won't come up the middle with running Chubb in the teeth of the Seahawks. Yeah, you're gonna run into a wall a couple of times against the Seahawks. How do you adjust? How do you bounce back from shorter runs, and don't let it really pile up on you? Okay. Let's see. He's their left guard at Penn State. Okay. Yeah, sign me up for that. Let's go H-Town. Need this win. Yeah, they do. Mellow Mike. Stunts are the old sleight of hand magician's pull. D lineman crashes diagonally and gets the lineman directly in front of him to follow him, opening a free rush lane for the player looping over. Yeah, it's a good way. I mean, that's probably a better way than I've explained it, Mellow Mike. So appreciate you for that. You know what else I appreciate? My friends at Texans Turf. TexansTurf.com is where you can see all the great work they've done. If you want to replace your hard-to-maintain, dirty, muddy, dies in the winter grass, then Texans Turf is the way to go. Landry did all the shopping for you. He found the best price and the best guy, and Texans Turf is the way to go. Dan the Man will take care of you. You can see all the great work they've done on TexansTurf.com, and then they customize exactly to what you want. You want your entire backyard cover. You want just a section. You want this part to be turf, this part to be a putting green, and then maybe a play area over here for the kids. They can do it all at Texans Turf. TexansTurf.com is where you can find them. You can schedule that free estimate for your yard. No job is too big or too small for Texans Turf. And this is great if you have a business and you don't have to want to worry about taking care of the grass around your business, or you have a rental property. You don't have to worry about that. Always green, always clean when you visit with my friends at Texans Turf, TexansTurf.com. A couple more of your comments, and we'll talk about the offense the Texans are going against. Sid, Cody, the run game's not working. Will a quick game be enough to put up points? Yeah, you're going to have to get something to get you in a rhythm. Look, CJ Stroud is very good when he's in a rhythm. When things are working and he doesn't have to climb out of holes that the offense puts themselves in, he's so good. He's so good. He's an elite front runner quarterback. Like when things are going good, he's not making mistakes. He's usually stacking it up, and it continues to go good. So that is a big element. And if you're running the ball poorly, you're going to have to adjust and find a way to make it work. So yeah, the short game is the way to do it. What do you think is the explanation for Ed Ingram's good play recently? Does he keep it up against the Seattle Seahawks? Well, it's the toughest opponent he's faced so far. Because remember, he missed the season opener against the Los Angeles Rams. So the toughest opponent for Ed Ingram up to this point. It's a combination of the opponents haven't been good. The system seems to fit him better. And I'm sure Ed Ingram realizes this is my last crack at sticking in the NFL. And so there's probably a little bit of extra that he's put in and made this thing go. So Ed Ingram, one of the highest rated pro football focused offensive linemen in all of football so far this year. And can he keep it going? Well, if he does, then the Texans might have themselves quite the snag on their hands. And if he doesn't, well, you'll adjust. You'll try to figure out how you live with life at Ed Ingram, maybe finding level. I don't know that he's actually this guy, but hopefully he's not exactly who the guy he was in Minnesota, which was a guy that gets benched and never gets his job back. Let's talk about the offense the Texans are going to play against. And this Sam Darnold-led offense, I say Sam Darnold-led, I mean, he's number 4 in passing in the NFL right now. Sam Darnold, he's done a really good job. He hasn't made a ton of mistakes with the football, just a handful of interceptions so far this season, after a couple of moments last year with the Vikings where he got a little loose with the football, but just 3 this year. And one of them was a tipped pass on a blitz that the Steelers came down with. The other one was he got some heat in his face and he wasn't able to make a good decision with the football. And then there's another one where Jalen Ramsey just made an excellent play against Cooper Kupp where Kupp cut it outside and then Ramsey just kind of cut in front of him. So hasn't made a lot of mistakes with the football in the air. And then, of course, he has been able to find Jackson Smith-Njigba consistently. A ton of success for the wide receiver that is playing the best in the NFL right now in Jackson Smith-Njigba. Lots of yards, plenty of touchdowns. You have to account for him, and I would think you just simply account for him with Derek Stingley. But it's more than that. How do you account for what the Seahawks as a whole do well, and what exactly have they done well with this new offensive scheme that a familiar last name, Gary Kubiak's kid, Clint Kubiak, running this thing. And you can tell DeMeco Ryans has a fondness for that style of offense and what Clint Kubiak has been able to do with it.
He has the history of the scheme. He's evolved it, and to make it fit to each place he's went to, he made it fit the players that he has. But you could tell just the genesis of the scheme where they're running off the ball, outside zone. They do a really nice job. The O-line does a nice job. The backs are doing a nice job of staying on track, right? And the one thing I would say is the way he marries up his play-action pass game is really tough to defend. So he's done a really nice job there, and he always has, those outliers. So he has some good scheme plays as well each week. It doesn't look exactly the same each week, so he does a really nice job of game planning for who he's going against.
This more so than some of the previous matchups feels like a game where DeMeco Ryans needs to put in a little extra about, hey, the Seahawks specifically do this, be ready for it. Whereas I know he typically, and he even said it yesterday about this matchup, hey, it's about what we do if we play our style of defense. Yes, and I to an extent, I understand that. And against a lowly Tennessee Titans team, against a beat-up Baltimore Ravens team, sure, it is very much more about you. But this week, more so than any of the previous weeks, it feels like, hey, they've shown this, they do this, be ready for this. Don't let them get to their bread and butter as an offense, and we'll be just fine. And be ready for their bread and butter. How do you be ready for it? And DeMeco Ryans talked about the play action and how well the Seahawks have done it, and how often they do it. And, of course, Landry found the stat earlier this week that Seahawks are the best offense in football off of play action. How do you prepare for an offense that's got a little bit of everything to it? It's going really well, and they'll try to deceive you. Well, the immortal words of Scarface, the eyes, Chico. They never lie.
It's the eye discipline starting in the pass coverage, right? Making sure we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And also in the run game, they do a really nice job making it look the same. So our second level defenders, safeties, nickels, linebackers, they have to do a really nice job of, really keying and diagnosing the plays. That's understanding what they're getting, understanding formations and setups so they can play fast, right? And then at the end of the day, whatever happens, you make the right decision and you got to go make the play. And that's been my message to our guys this week. Like, even if you know where they're going, you got to be able to make the play. And that's what this game is going to be about.
Make the play is make sure you're tackling well, okay? Because if you're not tackling Kenneth Walker well, their running back out of the backfield, he's going to get a big play. The NFL leader in big plays at the running back position so far, but they'll put Zach Charbonnet in there sometimes. But if you don't tackle Charbonnet, hell, he'll get yards too. So you got to know what you're doing. You got to understand what you're seeing, and then you got to go and make the correct decision once you go and see what is available to you, and then you got to go and actually make the tackle. It sounds simple, but it hasn't always been super simple for the Texans in these matchups. So finally, DeMeco Ryans about Sam Darnold, and I want to do the DeMeco translator on this one.
Sam has done a great job this year of hitting his targets. They're a very explosive offense, one and foremost because he's able to deliver the football at all three levels of the football field. Right, does a really nice job of throwing the ball deep. JSN did a really nice job making plays on the football as well. So, and they protect it well. So he's done a good job of spreading the ball around, making good decisions with the football, and that's why he's been having a really good year.
Just 10 total between sacks and interceptions, big negatives for the Seahawks offense. 7 sacks this year and 3 interceptions from Sam Darnold. So you got to be able to make things look open and then have them not be open for Sam Darnold. Because the D'Amico translator on that one is, look, when guys are open, he's doing a really good job of throwing them the football. And you go and you watch Sam Darnold play, and I was perusing Darnold this morning and watching the interceptions and some of the other plays and some of the touchdowns. And some of these touchdowns, it's not like he's making some amazing throw. Now, don't get me wrong. He's made some really nice throws. Torrey Horton, their rookie wide receiver over in the corner of the end zone, he put one in A.J. Barner, their tight ends, hands like over the shoulder of a defender in a really nice play. But there have been some broken plays. There have been some guys wide open. Don't let them get wide open. And Mellow Mike kind of plays into it here. JSN hasn't faced a corner duo like Stingley and Lassiter. I think Sting neutralizes JSN, but his Cup's route running against Lassiter. Cup's route running help him against Lassiter, and do they motion Cup into the slot on Petrie? Yes and yes. Look, Cup is still very good. He's not peak Rams Cooper Cup, but he's still a good football player, and he got going a little bit recently for the Seahawks. Had a slow start to the season for Seattle, so that'll be a Kamari Lassiter challenge. Torrey Horton, the rookie, will be a Kamari Lassiter challenge, and then when Cup's in the slot, Jalen Petrie's going to have to go out there and make some plays and keep Cooper Kupp from really beating up the Houston Texans. And, if they draw it up so that Derek Stingley is following JSN, Derek Stingley and Jackson Smith-Njigba are always matched up, you're going to have some success in slowing down Sam Darnold's ability to get it to Jackson Smith-Njigba. So it'll be up to Lassiter and Petrie and the safeties and various players to make things work outside of the ecosystem that is Derek Stingley one-on-one with Jackson Smith-Njigba. That doesn't just solve the offense of the Seattle Seahawks, but it makes it more difficult for Sam Darnold, and he still has that panic button that he hits when things don't go right, and you put a little heat on Darnold, he starts making decisions fast. He starts getting rid of the football because he doesn't want to get sacked. That builds over the course of a game, and then you're taking care of business against the Seattle Seahawks. So I don't want to make it sound super easy. It's not. But if JSN can get slowed down by Derek Stingley in that, follow him around coverage, hopefully the other 10 guys take care of their business, make it tough for the Seahawks to move the football. All right, that'll do it for today. Appreciate everybody for coming through, watching a little bit. Check out Sleeper. Use the code Stoots, STOOTS. Check out TDECU, our friends at Texans Turf as well. And we'll see you at Spanky's this afternoon for SNL Live from Spanky's. The show starts at 4. We'll be there at 3. We'll stay till, who knows? We'll be hanging out with you, talking all sorts of fun football stuff. So don't want to miss out on that. Anybody? One more thing from Mike. With the Seahawks using more 12 and 13 personnel, do we see more 4-3 and less 4-2-5? Absolutely. I do believe they'll put 3 linebackers on the field a lot in this one. I think that's something to pay attention to because I feel like they have a good matchup when it is 3 linebackers on the field. They like toe and they like speed, and obviously Azeez Al-Shire is their guy as well. So working on hats and some other fun stuff here for the channel. So should be some Houston football hats on the horizon. I got some fun stuff coming for SNL as well. So appreciate everybody for watching. We end the live stream the same way each and every time. This is my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.